Chris Brigman. Chris is someone I've gotten to know over the years. He was a public defender for years, and was so excited when he expressed an interest in working in our office, and today's his first day. I can tell you that Chris hails from western Michigan in the Lower Peninsula. As you all may remember, Heidi Schultz was also from Michigan, so we've had a good track record with Michiganders, I would say. And so here's Chris Brigman.
Hello, everyone, and thank you for having me. I really appreciate the opportunity to come work in this county. I've had a lot of experience working over here in other capacities, but I really appreciate the chance to come and be a servant to the community. So if you guys need anything or have any questions, by all means, please let me know. I recognize a couple of the faces, but I look forward to getting to know the rest of you better and working for you. Thank you.
Great. Thank you very much. All right.
Did you say he was a public defender? And he's coming over to prosecute now?
Yes.
Okay. I'm sure the sheriff is excited, huh?
We got him on the good side now.
Perfect.
Okay.
Sounds
Law
good.
school, you learn both sides.
Oh, okay.
This is true.
Well, good luck.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Back over here. Sarah can take it down.
All right. Good morning, everyone. We'll call the meeting to order. Welcome to the regular board meeting, first regular board meeting for the month of September. Today's date is Tuesday, September 6th, 2022. All commissioners are present along with the auditor, treasurer, county coordinator, and county attorney. Please stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Any amendments to the agenda?
I have none.
Hearing none, I would look for a motion to adopt the agenda as presented.
So moved.
Motion by Kneisel. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Becker. Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Consent items.
Today we have the meeting minute approval for August 16th, 2022. A resignation of temporary equipment operator Arlen Bergstrom, 3/9/2022. Resignation of summer help Travis Mahler, 8/22/2022. Resignation of summer help Jaden Evenson, 8/19/2022. Resignation home health aide Lauren Bratton, 8/31/2022. Retirement eligibility worker Cindy Wardine, 12/30/2022. And appoint seasonal energy assistant program EAP office support specialist to Kelly Bitts. Start date to be determined.
If I could, Mr. Chair,
Sure, discussion?
4.6, 12/30 of 2022. Going to
Yes.
retire in
In
December. Okay.
Just clarification.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other discussion? Otherwise, I would look for a motion for the consent items.
So moved.
Motion by Newman. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Kneisel. Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Opposed? Carried. Auditor Treasurer.
First item I have today is the auditor warrants. Background is sent for review. Recommendation is to approve the August 2022 auditor warrants with an ACH and a manual payment totaling in the amount of $2,693,029.35.
Okay, you've seen the board action for the auditor warrants totaling $2,693,029.35. Looking for a motion.
So moved.
Motion by Kircher. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Newman. Discussion? Hearing none. Roll call.
Commissioner Kircher?
Yes.
Commissioner Newman?
Yes.
Commissioner Becker?
Yes.
Commissioner Kneisel?
Yes.
Commissioner Erickson?
Yes.
Next item then I have is the approving of commissioner warrants. Background is sent for review. Recommendation is to approve the commissioner's warrants with an ACH and a manual payment totaling in the amount of $95,513.25.
Okay, we've seen and read the board action for the commissioner warrants totaling $95,513.25. Looking for a motion.
So move.
Motion by Becker. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Kneisel. Discussion? Roll call?
Commissioner Becker?
Yes.
Commissioner Kneisel?
Yes.
Commissioner Kircher?
Yes.
Commissioner Newman?
Yes.
Commissioner Erickson?
Yes.
The next item I have is the Health and Human Service Commissioner warrant. Background was sent for review. Recommendation is to approve the Health and Human Service Commissioner warrants with an ACH and a manual payment totaling in the amount of $42,409.56.
Okay, you've seen the board action for the Health and Human Services Commissioner warrants totaling $42,409.56. Looking for a motion.
So moved.
Motion by Newman. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Kneisel. Discussion? Roll call?
Commissioner Newman?
Yes.
Commissioner Kneisel?
Yes.
Commissioner Becker?
Yes.
Commissioner Kircher?
Yes.
Commissioner Erickson?
Yes.
Next item I have is the Health and Human Service SSIS warrants. Background is sent for review. Recommendation is to approve the Health and Human Service SSIS warrants with an ACH and a regular manual payment totaling in the amount of $73,478.94.
Okay, you've seen the board action for the Health and Human Services SSIS warrants totaling $73,478.94. Looking for a motion.
So moved.
Motion by Kircher. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Becker. Discussion? Roll call?
Commissioner Kircher?
Yes.
Commissioner Becker?
Yes.
Commissioner Kneisel? Commissioner Newman?
Yes.
Commissioner Erickson?
Yes.
Next item I have then is the county ditch maintenance assessments for taxes payable in 2023. Background is the auditor treasurer, along with the county ditch inspector, has been proactively working on improving the cash flow balances within Fund 40 county ditches on an annual basis and presented assessment recommendations at the county board work session on August 16th, 2022. Attached are the maintenance fund assessments recommended for collection during the 2023 tax payable year. Your options are to approve the list of assessments, do not approve the list of assessments, or propose an alternative assessment amount for taxes payable in 2023. The recommendation is that the Todd County Ditch Authority approve the attached resolution for the county ditch maintenance assessments for taxes payable in 2023 in a fiscal implication of $14,960.09, and it is a budgeted item under the special assessment fund.
Okay, you've seen the board action for the county ditch maintenance assessments for taxables payable 2023. Looking for a motion.
So moved.
Motion by Kneisel, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Becker, discussion. Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Next item I have then would be the county fee schedule, a hearing date. The background is Todd County is in the process of updating the county fee schedule to be implemented for 2023 and is required by law to hold a public hearing to gather any public input on the proposed fee before adoption. Recommendation is to set the county fee schedule public hearing for October 4th, 2022 to begin at 9:15 in the county commissioners boardroom, and instruct all appropriate legal notices to be generated and published accordingly.
Okay, you've seen the board action for the county fee schedule hearing date for October 4th, 2022 at 9:15 a.m. Looking for a motion.
So moved.
Motion by Becker, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Newman, discussion? That's just at the beginning of the board meeting then,
Right.
correct?
It'll be during the board meeting.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
The last item I have then is the 2022 DNR approval of classification and sale. The background, the Department of Natural Resources is directed by state law to review and approve the sale of certain tax forfeited lands. The county has determined which parcels will require DNR review. There were 27 parcels that forfeited for non-payment of taxes on May 27th, 2022. There is one parcel identified as requiring the DNR's specific approval. The recommendation is to approve the resolution requesting the approval from the Minnesota Department of Resources for the sale of tax forfeited lands. And I think there's the resolution, and then we do have the items that were forfeited, and it's this parcel here that's highlighted. It's in Bruce and Burnhamville. There, it's like right on the line, and it's more than 150 feet of water frontage, so that's why the DNR has to look at it under state statute.
Okay, you've seen the board action and the resolution in regards to DNR approval of classification and sale. Looking for a motion.
So moved.
Motion by Kneisel, is there a second? Is there a second?
Seconded for discussion.
Seconded by Newman, discussion.
Yes, Mr. Chair. I don't get why the DNR gets their tentacles into all the good lakeshore land or anything that has any value, and they put their name on it. You know, we've been dealing with a partial out west of here for a canoe access. Yeah, the DNR's got their name on it. They wanted the county to stick a ton of money in it, but not own it. So it just bothers me that the DNR can come in and just say, well, I'm gonna take this, you guys can have the other stuff. So that's just my
Correct.
feelings on it.
That's correct, Commissioner Newman. I'm just following state statute, and
I understand.
And I agree, and I hear this from Commissioner Kircher as well in the past years. It's just following the guidelines, it's not always right. And then sometimes they want them and sometimes they don't, and sometimes it's not even, it's back slough, but because it's got some waterway to it, I
Yep.
have to follow the
Yeah.
guidelines.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Opposed?
Aye.
Roll call?
Commissioner Kneisel,
Yes.
Commissioner Newman,
No,
Commissioner Becker,
No.
Commissioner Kircher,
No.
Commissioner Erickson.
Yes.
Commissioners, that's a first on this issue.
I'm not sure what happens. We can deal with it next month or deal with it at the next meeting. You
Right.
can check into it and see where it goes or what it does. I'm not sure that we can oversee state statutes, so
Exactly.
Yeah.
I'll check into
Well,
it.
then why do we vote on it?
I think we have to.
Yeah, but if we can't
There's a lot of
oversee,
things we do that
I
we
know
don't
if we
like
can't
to
oversee
do.
state statute, why do we vote on it?
I don't know.
Yeah.
A lot of people are questioning that.
Yep. Okay. Todd County Egg Society. Gentlemen, you want to come up to the desk, please? Good morning. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't realize you had all of you with, to exclude anyone.
All right, we have a few things to go over this morning. First off, we're gonna start by doing a recap of the 2021 fair and just the fiscal year. And Gerhard is gonna do that.
Denise.
This would go with the stuff you see on the screen up there.
I guess I don't know what you want me to go over.
Just quickly go over it and explain what some of the things are.
How about this? If you guys have questions, I can probably better answer that. I guess I'm not sure what you guys are looking for because there's a lot of different areas, if you will, of spending and income.
I think it was a good generalization, Gerhard, of just giving us a general idea of expenses and income.
Sean.
I don't have any questions in regards to one particular item or anything of that sort.
Okay.
Much appreciated just to see kind of where it's going, how it's working, what it's doing. It would be fun to see them over years, you know, because I know you guys had an exceptional year or had a good
Right.
year.
This would be the exceptional year and
It would be
this,
fun to see different ones, you know, so you could look at trends of where it's been in the past and
Yep.
what it's been doing and has been. So in the future, if we can have something similar, it'll be fun to see them just kind of watch where they go. Yeah,
Yep.
absolutely, the ups and downs of things in general.
okay?
Then,
Yeah.
going forward, our fiscal year ends the 31st of October.
Sure.
Just plan on maybe coming in November, board meeting, and doing it that way,
That sounds good.
you know, because
Do it when it's fresh.
Yep.
absolutely,
Sounds good. Much appreciated.
yes, thank you.
Okay, and then I know there's a few items of recap from the fair this year, like we have those concrete blocks out there that was questioned about what was gonna happen with those, and we have decided to donate them to the county. They are gonna stay at the fairgrounds.
Okay.
So I don't know if we need to stack them yet along the fence, or if there's a question on that. I haven't been out there recently.
Bike and trike.
Right, and I know Bike and Trike was gonna use them, and I'm guessing they would have stacked them, but,
Right.
or they're still set up, I'm not sure. But they are going to stay there if that is understandable.
Okay,
Okay,
sure.
But along with that also, we wanna see if we can rent the fairgrounds in January again to do, we're gonna try that winter demo again.
I think was that last time, was that just brought forward to a board meeting, or was that brought to facilities when they did
It was
that?
brought to the board.
Board?
Yep.
So when it was, if it was brought, I think it just gets brought in like a month ahead of time or something of that
Well,
sort.
No, we want to make sure, we want it brought up now and get the okay now so that we can start advertising and promoting, because without
Okay,
knowing,
sure.
we don't wanna start.
I'm gonna turn to my auditor treasurer just for that. Would they then just bring a board action, say at the next meeting or something for approval of something like that? Or how does that work as far as,
It would just be like them coming in and filling out to rent the
Just a normal
fairground,
thing,
just like
yeah.
they normally
just a
do.
process?
So it's not really coming
I
before
mean,
the
can we
board.
get, approval today and
We
then?
don't need it. We
You don't need approval, you'll come in and fill out that
Okay.
rental agreement to just use the grandstand and the demo area.
Then just state your dates.
Okay.
So I don't think
Have
you
the
need to
normal
know.
things like you did the fair, you
Yeah.
do your insurance, pay
Yeah,
your deposit,
yeah.
yep.
But
I-
then there's, I mean, we don't need to get general consensus from here first, that it's okay.
The only thing you need, excuse me, Mr.
Yep.
Chair, is, I believe, did we give it to you rent-free last year?
Yes.
Yes.
And that would have to come in front of the board for that decision, correct?
Yeah, if you're gonna do anything rent-free, the board has to
Yeah.
We
supersede
would have
that,
to
otherwise
approve
there's
that.
charges.
Let me clarify that.
Okay.
We actually did pay for it and never got the deposits back.
We'll have to check into that,
Well,
because to
yeah.
clear our books, we have to give the deposits back.
But that was, I mean, it could have gotten overlooked that it was, because we paid the deposits and then after that it was,
Never reimbursed.
Okay, we'll check on that.
okay.
Okay.
Yeah, if they want anything rent-free, any organization, it becomes before the
We
board.
have to waive the fee.
Yeah, the board would then, okay.
But then with that being said, we'd like to get to have them blocks set up here this fall.
That would be stuff
same.
that would be done by you,
Yes,
setting
we
the
will-
blocks and stuff
Yeah,
like that?
we'll do
Before
that.
snowfall and.
Sure. And I think
Freeze
in,
down.
in answer to your question previous to that, as far as where the blocks are gonna be set and stuff like that, I think that would just be coordinated with Mitch, you know, out there, and I agree, they're probably gonna be just stacked along the fence out there or something of that sort. And then if you do to utilize them in the wintertime or whatever, I would guess they would just go back where they came from, so. Just good, normal, like, procedure. Yep. So I think the procedure part of that then is basically to get your paperwork in for use of it, and then just, if it is one, if you are wanting it free, then we'd have to run that before the board.
Yep. Okay.
Okay?
Then a couple other items of concern we have, and some of this is new stuff. Some of you have heard about this already. Sentence to Serve did repair some of the benches in the grandstand. There are more that need repair yet. The east garage door in the expo building relative to the fan and the airflow, that's been an ongoing topic. Number 3, the east end of the expo building, the power louvers, they're not opening fully when that fan is running. We were down there for the fair this year and we were standing outside and looked up and they were about half open. And then we closed that big garage door 100%, thinking maybe the air was just sucking in and going right out, but they did not move then where they didn't open up further. So I don't know if there wasn't enough airflow to open them fully or if that's something that could be looked at. Number 4, power repaired and updated in the entertainment pavilion. They have a note on here, the north and center outlet were working, but not the south outlet, and all the circuit breakers were on.
Just to touch base with that, when we used it, I don't know if it's just not wired heavy enough or what it is. Breakers trip super easily. I mean, even having a mic plugged in.
Okay.
I'm not responding, I'm making notes as we go.
Yep, no, that's fine.
Sorry.
That's fine, that's fine. Number 5, this is something I know was talked about earlier and Mitch maybe worked on it already. The expansion joint between the two halves of the grandstand for not leaking water in, allowing it to go underneath the grandstand. That's been something that's been talked about in the past. Number 6, this year was the first year we had more people sign up to camp during the fair, and we only have limited number of poles with power. So we had a couple issues with that. The poles right now we have on here, they have 50 amp. I'm not sure if that's quite accurate. They have a 30 amp plug-in and a 110 receptacle, so I'm guessing you add the two together, that's where we got the 50 amp from. It would be nice if some of them had 230 amp or maybe even a 50 amp on some of them. Can it be done? Well, obviously, but the cost has obviously got to be looked at. What would have to be done to get it added? Along with that, we did have some issues at the winter demo and stuff too, and the summer one with some of the lights in the grandstand area around the pits and outlets at the poles, and some of that their guys were out and looked at it if it was a quick fix, took care of it during the fair or whatever. So we thank you for that. But there is still ongoing issues there. Number 8. Communication from the facilities committee before seeking out or purchasing items that involve the fair. We want to say the ticket booths that you guys purchased do look great, but the functionality with the small window trying to sell tickets, put wristbands on, was a little challenging. I don't know if there's something that could be done, if the windows could be made bigger, or a second one added. That's just something we gotta talk about, figure out.
And the one issue, they're great buildings, but the windows face, there's 2 on the side and 1 on the long end. And the pitch of the roof actually goes right to that window, so when it's raining, all the water's running right off onto the people buying tickets.
You know, if it's drizzling or anything, it was a poor design, or wasn't thought
So even
out.
if we could get them to turn 180 and put a big window on the high side of the peak.
Okay.
I don't know if you've heard any comments or concerns from anybody else that's used the grandstand or sold tickets out of them.
I know Bacon Trike said that
Bacon Trike would be,
they were hard to sell out of.
yep. The 8B we got on here, the horse gates should have probably been heavier, and we were putting an extra lock on them just to make sure they couldn't knock them open. Some of them horses can be very finicky, and I do believe if you were to walk through there now and look at them, the wires on the bottom of them panels or doors are dented out because the horses stand there and paw against them. Some of them, not all of them. And then number 9 is probably a way out there thing, but if it would work someday down the road, the pull track for the pulling would be nice to have it longer. It's 260 feet now, I believe, but the only way to make it longer, you would have to run it at an angle or something, and there'd be a major expense involved with that. We understand that, but it's just something we've thought about. The pulling guys would maybe like a little longer track. They can get more speed and length, but
And we could get bigger
trucks and tractors and stuff
Yep.
too.
because that is the number one complaint we get is it's not long enough for them.
anything
And
else?
we could leave the track that is there, and if we would angle across, we could actually run a double track that we could make a better show out of it by we could have them running, the big stuff run on the angle, and then while they're cleaning that one up, we could be running some smaller stuff right across the front.
Do you think the stands would still accommodate quite well, you know, like what you're saying? I get what you're saying on like an angled track and stuff like that. The only bad thing is you're gonna be going away from,
No, they'll be coming towards you, because you could, where that gate is,
Yep.
between the Prairie Building and the 4-H building there, that's where they would start.
Okay.
And they would come towards the
okay.
grandstand.
Because you want to be on the end of it more than you want to be on
Yeah,
the beginning
yeah.
of it. Yeah.
So the end of the track would be at the same
Okay.
spot.
Kind of similar location.
Yep, it would,
Yep.
both tracks would end basically
Cool.
at the same point.
Gotcha.
Any questions on any of that stuff?
You know, because if we could do something like that, I mean, them guys, they like coming here and pulling on the track that we got, you know, and there's been talk that we would maybe do some, you know, bring another event throughout the year, you know, to
Sure.
bring more people to the community to, you know, cause everybody in the community benefits when we have stuff out there. It's not just the Ag Society, all the businesses in town.
Sounds like the demo derby was very well attended, huh? That was
Yes.
good
Yes.
numbers. Did you guys have rain this year?
On Saturday night.
Yep.
For the road.
And is there, I think I was talking with a group down at my coffee in the morning or something. Was that enough rain that you got compensated? Where does that fall into
It
for expectations or whatever?
Depends on what kind of policy we buy.
Okay,
Cause you can buy a different policy for different rain amounts.
sure.
So, you know,
We haven't been reimbursed yet, but there is a
But
possibility.
it was enough. I mean, it seemed
I-
like
I
a
do-
substantial rain is where I think the
Right, and then you gotta
conversation
have-
came up from, but it's gotta be based on what, inches or something?
yep, certain amount
Yep,
And time span.
and a certain time
on a
span.
certain length of rain.
Yep,
Yeah.
it's gotta fall within, we pick a certain, from, say, 4 o'clock to 8 o'clock,
Sure,
and it's gotta rain so much within that period of time to
Yeah.
qualify.
neat. Well, we'll probably see that on next year's thing then,
Yes, if,
Yep.
if it does show up,
if it works, right?
yes.
Good.
Follow-up comment, I did check, the deposit was returned on February 14th of 2022. $800, check number 239037. We refunded both your deposit and your rental that you gave us, because after the fact is when we waived the rental fee. So $300 was rent and $500 was deposit, and that was returned in one check.
Okay, and I'm not saying it wasn't.
No, I just wanted to clarify that it
Yep,
was.
absolutely.
Yep.
Yep. And then the last thing I have is we have dates for the 2023 fair, July 13th through the 16th.
Nice.
We have been making good progress with our carnival, and he was willing to commit to dates already this year, so we have dates for 2023. That was a big improvement for us.
So, and I was actually already booked the last day of the fair
Yep.
this year. We've never had that before, so.
Super.
Right. All right, that's what we have, unless you guys have anything.
Any questions, commissioners? Comments?
Mr. Chair, if I could just make a quick comment. We have made great improvements to that entire fairgrounds and to the expo building, and I would have to say that after this year's fair, I mean, that expo building was very clean. So thank you to the Ag Society for doing a great job on getting things cleaned up.
I just have a couple comments in regards to your list here, and one of them that made me aware or whatever, you know, you had kind of requested more power type plugins and stuff like that. If you could come with an actual request of numbers and stuff like that, whereas we look at it as a facility committee, then we could actually go out and get bids.
Okay,
And stuff like
okay.
that, you know what I'm saying?
So you're
I-
saying
for
more
us to just say-
specifics type of
yes,
deal.
For us to just say, hey, we want 2.
Yep,
Well, I mean, we did
Like
discuss it.
location and stuff like that is what I'm saying, because they're gonna probably have to come from a pole.
Well,
The poles are already there.
Yeah,
no, I think he's talking like a main power pole.
if you gotta add is what I'm
Yeah.
saying, you might have to come from another location.
Yep,
Well, I know we did discuss it, and I know when Chris came to the fair, we had kind of generally discussed one more power 30 amp per pole that is
Okay.
out there.
Okay, on what's on existing ones?
yes.
Okay.
Yes, 'cause
And
we're,
there's a couple on the building too, on, what building is that?
the east side of the Prairie Building.
Perfect.
But like the poles that are out north of the 4-H building stuff around there, technically right now, there's only one 30 amp plug there.
Okay,
So only one camper per pole. So we had rented out, you know, had numerous campers there. Well, they couldn't run air conditioners or nothing, so a bunch of them had to run generators and
Oh.
stuff because there was not enough
sure,
power for multiple campers to plug in at the same pole.
gotcha.
So that's, you know,
Good. Well, I think this is very beneficial for us as a board to have you come in afterwards like this with lists, you know, and things that you've noticed and seen out there. And certainly things that we can be taking a look at to try to make things better for everybody, so appreciate it.
thank you.
Yep.
Thank you.
Sounds good, thank you.
So, Mr. Chair.
Yes.
This information will go to the
Facilities
Facilities
Committee.
Committee then?
Correct. Yep.
Morning.
Public Works. Oh, look at you just slide in there.
Oh.
Yeah.
Good morning, everyone. 2 items on the agenda this morning for Public Works. Our first item is a request for final payment authorization for our 2021 bridge construction contract. And this is the bridge on County Road 11, just over Eagle Creek, right near the community of Clarissa. So our 2 options are to approve the attached resolution or do not approve the attached resolution. And our recommendation at this time is to approve the attached resolution, making final payment of $22,740.50 to Marvin Treader Incorporated.
Okay, you've seen the board action for the final payment authorization for the 2021 bridge construction contract. Looking for a motion.
So moved.
Motion by Kneisel. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Kircher. Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Opposed? Carried.
All right, our second item is a very similar item. It's a final payment authorization request for a 2022 pavement marking contract. This is our maintenance pavement markings, which means basically edge lines and center line stripes across various county roads throughout the county. So our options are to approve the attached resolution or do not approve the attached resolution. And our recommendation is to approve the attached resolution, making final payment of $6,355.90 to Traffic Marking Services Incorporated.
Okay, you've seen the board action for the final payment authorization for the 2022 pavement marking contract. Looking for a motion.
So move.
Motion by Becker. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Newman. Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Thank you, Lauren.
All right, thank you.
Lauren, I have a question.
Yes.
Question?
Well, what they're doing to 71, what is that stuff? It's just,
Are you aware of the resurfacing on 71? We seen something come out on it. I saw something come out on it too.
they started by Hewitt, so, and they're in Eagle Bend this morning, and they're going
I
to Carissa.
wasn't aware they were doing anything.
It's them little stones, what,
I
they
think it's
must put some.
granite, you
It
know.
could either be doing some seal coating, where they apply oil and put a top dress of small aggregate.
Yep.
Does it come out as a slurry?
They're-
Kind of a mixture?
They're using the granite type, it's a
Yeah.
rougher, and I've talked to Lauren about that.
Yeah.
They use it over by Swanville too, they do 28 with it, and it makes a good surface, actually. It's a little rougher, but it's a seal coat is what it really is. It's-
Yeah. It might be the slurry seal that they're doing up there. I'm not sure. I haven't been up there in a while, but sorry.
From
To me,
what-
it's a better seal coat because it lasts longer, so.
From what I saw on it, Lauren, is they're doing crack filling and patching and then coming over it with this.
With a seal.
seal
Okay.
coating. Yep.
Gives me a good reason to go up that way. Take a look. All right, thanks.
Well,
Thank
that
you.
Traffic blocked from one way from Eagle Bend all the way to Carissa.
They're going a long distance on this.
Deal.
Oh, that makes a long detour.
Yeah.
Yeah. Fun.
27.
All the way down 71, because Burrell had a whole bunch of signs that said loose gravel all the way down 71.
Mm-hmm.
What I find interesting is they do it the day school starts.
They do it, yeah. They don't give matter to them.
All right. County Ditch. Good morning.
Good morning. All right, I have 2 agenda items. The first one is County Ditch 40, hold harmless agreement for ditch maintenance and replace a private crossing. Recommendation, the Todd County Board of Commissioners approves the following by motion. Acting as ditch authority approves a hold harmless agreement petition from Dave Van Heel to clean approximately 1,000 feet of lateral 3 and replace a private crossing on County Ditch 40 located between parcels 0400-23901 and parcel 0400-23100 in Bruce Township, Section 23. This project will be done at Dave Van Heel's own expense.
Okay. Any more, Nancy, to add or not?
I'm just gonna have that, when I was out there, Dave was told there was a culvert, but I didn't actually find a culvert. So when the cleaning is done, if they find one, they'll replace it with the same size. That's the very beginning of the lateral, so there's not a lot of water in it. So they don't have any upstream culvert culvert capacity to match.
Mr. Chair, does that go in the Big Swan River? Swan River?
No, this, hits the main ditch, ditch 40. That's ditch 46 that goes into the
River?
Swan River. This one is really close to this is like right on the Morrison line.
Yeah,
I believe it's 46 that goes all the way down to
okay.
the river.
Mr. Chair, I've got a question.
Mhm.
What's the distance between the power pole and the fence?
Not a lot. It looks narrower than it is when you're actually out there.
Yep,
Yeah, and that's the actual beginning of the lateral, so it's shallower there and then gets deeper as it goes toward the ditch.
okay.
So there's a few power poles that they're gonna have to navigate around, but it looks narrower than when you're out there.
Okay.
And that fence is that woven wire, so they can, it's movable a little bit, so.
Okay, you've seen the board action to approve the hold harmless agreement for ditch maintenance on County Ditch 40. Looking for a motion.
So moved.
Motion by Kircher. Second.
Second.
Second by Kneisel. Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Opposed? Carried.
Okay, the second agenda item is to approve to consult a ditch attorney for County Ditch 42. The background, I did send, I brought this to the work session, and I did attach again pretty much everything I went over at the work session as the background. Options are approve or not approve, and the recommendation is the Todd County Board of Commissioners approves the following by motion. Acting as ditch authority, authorize the county ditch inspector to consult with Ricky Noonan, our ditch attorney firm on retainer, for guidance on the County Ditch 42 tile issue, potential project, and assess the legal service expenses to County Ditch 42 accordingly.
Okay, you've seen the board action for your approval to consult a ditch attorney on County Ditch 42. Looking for a motion.
I will move that recommendation.
Motion by Newman. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Kneisel. Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Thank you,
Thank
Nancy. County Attorney.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The issue for the board's consideration is a ratification statement for professional services for what we call MCAPS. It's our data processing program. It keeps track of all of our cases. It communicates with the court website, and it's being upgraded as well. It's invaluable in our office, and just asking the board to approve the professional services agreement.
Just a quick question, John, ahead of time. No financial implications with it?
I believe that this is budgeted. It's part of our cost of doing business for sure.
Okay. Yeah, it's,
I would imagine they would have said something in the ratification if there was gonna be.
that there would be a charge or something?
No, this is just approving our agreement.
Just the agreement of working with it, is
That's
that
right.
correct? Cool. Okay, you've seen the board action for the ratification statement for working with professional services MCAP. Looking for a motion.
So moved. Second.
Motion by Newman, seconded by Kneisel. Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Thank you, John.
Thank you.
MIS, good morning.
Good morning. So what I have for you guys this morning is a board action form to purchase a new server. Background is, as part of the technology rotation schedule, a host server is scheduled for replacement this year. Quotes were received and funding sources have been secured for this purchase. Contributing funding sources are Compliance Fund, Recorder Technology Fund, Corrections, Social Services, and MIS budget. Because this purchase is over $5,000, county board approval is needed. The total cost of the server is $15,200 $250. The breakdown per fund is included. Your options are to approve the purchase of the server through SHI in the amount of $15,250, utilizing funding sources listed, or do not approve the purchase of the server. Recommendations are to approve purchase of server through SHI in the amount of $15,250, utilizing funding sources listed.
Okay, you've seen the board action for the approval of a server purchase through SHI. Looking for a motion.
So move.
Motion by Becker. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Kircher. Discussion. Hearing none. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Thank you.
Thank you.
Planning and zoning. Good morning, Adam.
Good morning, Commissioners. Just a single item this morning for the Schwarzentuber Amish Cemetery preliminary plat. An application to establish a private cemetery on parcel 1500284000 in Leslie Township was received on July 13th. This was reviewed by the Planning Commission during the August 4th, 2022 public hearing. Additional information is needed prior to the granting of this application, including township review and a corrected application. The 60-day decision deadline would be on September 11th. An extension to this application is needed to accumulate the additional information and additional review by the Planning Commission. The decision deadline would be extended until November 10th, 2022. So the option would be to remand this back to the Planning Commission for further review and extend the application decision deadline by the additional 60 days. And that's one option I had there. And then the recommendation would be to do exactly that.
Okay, so you've seen the board action for the Schwarzentuber Amish Cemetery preliminary plat with the recommendation to bring it back to the Planning Commission. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Looking for a motion.
So moved.
Motion by Newman. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Kneisel. Discussion?
Yes, Mr. Chair. Where's this located?
If you go north off of 10, it's about a mile north. I don't remember the exact location. Probably a mile and a half east of the lake, I think. I'd have to look
So
at it.
it would be close to the Reynolds Leslie line?
I would suspect so. I don't know that with certainty without looking at a map again.
Okay. That's where I'm assuming it's gonna be, is probably right on the line.
Yeah, there's an existing schoolhouse there. If you know of this, if the schoolhouse on the gravel is going to go back out behind that existing schoolhouse, if you know the area that I'm talking about.
Kinda have an idea.
Yeah.
It'd be nice to have a map, so.
Yeah, and we'll certainly include that stuff when this comes back for the actual board action. We needed the additional information, whether the wrong application was submitted, the wrong one was accepted. We need to get that corrected, and then it has to be platted, so they need the township review. So there's additional things that we need. The applicants have been notified of this. We're just waiting for them to get in the office to get this back on the right track.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Thank you.
Solid waste. Good morning.
Good morning, Chair and Commissioners. We have two board action items for you for the Solid Waste Department. The first one is we would like your authorization to sign the attached draft letter. This is what's called Certificate of Need. We've been communicating with Morrison County for probably 5 months on this. The Morrison County landfill is where we send all the waste that doesn't go to Prairie Lakes for our municipal solid waste. So as is stated in the background, Todd County generates about 12,000 tons per year of MSW. Approximately 7,200 goes to the Perham Resource Recovery Facility. The remainder goes to Morrison County. Well, in the statutes from the state Morrison County can only offer waste disposal within its certificate of need, which is this thing that's regulated by the Minnesota Pollution Control Agency. And there's been discussion with the MPCA on how much you need in the future. It's kind of philosophical, actually. And I guess my philosophy is, if you leave on a trip, do you want to fill your gas tank about as full as you need to get there, or do you just fill it up? So as the letter's drafted, we are, I think, conservative about how much airspace we'll need from Morrison County. And in the discussions with the MPCA, there was interest by the state to have those numbers a little bit lower, but as we've discussed it, these are numbers we've agreed to with them. The idea being that we're not promising Morrison County that we'll bring that much waste, but they have that space reserved, so when we need it, it's there. So the options you have, unless you have any more questions on this, are to authorize solid waste director to sign the attached certificate of need letter. And your other option is to not authorize it, and we would recommend sign it.
I do have a question, Mr. Chair. And you know, you say we got 12,000 tons per year of solid waste, and then you say we use perm for about 7,200 tons. Then we go to the bottom before the second last paragraph, it says 74,613 tons. How does this, I'm confused on the math, I'm confused on how do you estimate that 74,000?
Sure.
Where does that come from?
So the earlier numbers, Commissioner, are a per year number.
Yep.
So about 12,000 tons per year.
Okay.
And if you go, this is where, at some point, I'm gonna call it fuzzy math, because when we're trying to project to the future, how do you project future need? If you look at the draft letter, we're projecting a 3.5% growth in need for landfilling.
Okay.
And so what we did was, we took actually a 5-year average of what was going to Morrison, and we took that number and then we added 3.5% each year on. So that's why that number is rather specific of 74,613, and that's over a 10-year period.
So if we sign an agreement to that, and if we're under or over, what consequences are there? What do we need to do then?
Right, well, there's no consequences if we're under, and if we were over, you know, from what we've talked to and as we've met with Morrison County, it's not that they won't give us more, but at some point, if all their customers are over and they reach that cap, they have to go back to the Minnesota Pollution Control Agency for permission to do more landfilling.
And then my other question is, and maybe you said it and I missed it, but if our increases, you're estimating at 3.5%, what is our cost to Morrison County increasing over those 10 years?
Well, they just like we said, our tipping fees, I don't know what their fees will be currently. They are the lowest tipping fee available for us. At some point, if they were to increase their costs too much, there may be some other outlet where it would be cheaper. This agreement does not bind us to Morrison County.
Okay.
It's more, we're being, I would say, a partner with them in that they're supporting us by providing this service, and we're supporting them by writing these letters saying they need to keep providing that service.
I just don't want to get us into a predicament where we're bound and then all of a sudden they start raising everything and here we are saying, well, we've did a agreement with you.
Yep.
How do we get out of this agreement?
Right. There's not an agreement.
So it's not a binding.
Correct.
Okay.
Any other discussion? Otherwise, we've seen the board action for the authorization to sign the certificate of need with Morrison County. Looking for a motion.
So moved.
Motion by Kneisel. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Becker. Any more discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Thank you. The second board action item we have is the MSW market price for the year 2022. Minnesota statute 297H requires that we establish, or that Todd County establishes by resolution the market price for services related to solid waste management each year. So we come to you each year with this, and what it is just a statement of what is our cost per ton in the local market. And the local market, as is shown here, is based on Morrison County's tipping fee of $82 a ton. The purpose behind this is actually a tax issue. If we were to charge our residents less than $82 a ton, it would reduce the state's revenue on taxation, and then we would be required to pay that tax anyways. It doesn't apply to us because we don't charge less than $82 a ton, but they require a resolution to establish that.
Okay, you've seen the board action for the MSW market price for 2022. Looking for a motion.
So moved.
Motion by Kneisel. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Newman. Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Opposed? Carried. Thank you.
Thank you.
County Sheriff, good morning.
All right, got a few items here. First one is the purchase of a jail dishwasher. It's already been purchased. Background is the sheriff's office needed to purchase a new dishwasher for the jail. The old dishwasher had begun to leak and was beyond repair. DOC standards require a sanitizing dishwasher to wash inmate dishes. The sheriff's office purchased a dishwasher that met those needs set forth by the DOC. The purchase price of a new dishwasher was $5,928. And approve the purchase of a new dishwasher, not approve. Obviously, the recommendation is to approve, is budgeted.
Okay, seen the board action for the approval of the purchase of the dishwasher. Looking for a motion.
So move.
Motion by Becker, discussion, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Kircher, discussion.
When was it put in?
Oh, boy. I'm not even exactly sure. We had Mitch put it in. They took out the old one and put in a new one.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Thank you. Next one will be the 2021 Federal Boat Equipment Supplemental Grant Amendment. Background is the Sheriff's Office would like the 2021 boat equipment terms of the grant agreement to be revised due to the purchase equipment shipping delays. All equipment will not be received within the framework set forth by the contract terms. The 2021 Federal Boating Equipment Grant Amendment allows the Sheriff's Office to extend the grant program to expire December 31st, 2021. This extension will allow us to purchase equipment to be received within that time set frame. And the grant be utilized with no excess expense from the county. Option one is to accept the extension or do not approve the extension. This will be for the boat. And I got a call from the dealership and they were pretty confident that it'd be in by the end of this month.
Okay, you've seen the board action for the extension of the 2021 Federal Boat equipment supplement grant to the date of December 31st, 2022. Looking for a motion.
So moved.
Motion by Kircher. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Knizel. Discussion.
Yes, Mr. Chair, and I don't know if this would pertain to it, but I know the buoys on Lake Osakis, the chains are really getting ratty, and they've been breaking off, and, is that part of that grant, or is, you get a grant?
We have extra chain at the office, or at the impound that we change out every once in a while. When they pull them, typically I look at them and see what needs to be changed out.
Okay, was there any way you guys go to stainless steel chain? I know it's more expensive.
Oh, it's pretty, yeah. We'd probably look at that after we used up what we got.
Okay.
We got quite a bit of it yet, so.
Right. Okay. Thanks.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Opposed? Carried.
Thank you. Last but not least is our annual body-worn camera audit. This happens every 2 years. This was our very first one. Background is the Sheriff's Office implemented body cameras in 2020. It is a state requirement that the independent audit be completed every 2 years. A copy of the audit needs to be provided to the County Board of Commissioners and the Legislative Commission on data practices and personal private data. Recommendation to Todd County Board of Commissioners approves the following motion. Acknowledge the independent body camera worn audit.
All right, you've seen the board action for the body worn camera audit. Looking for a motion.
Can I ask, what do they do for an audit on your body worn camera?
Just to make sure that your policies are up to date and you are maintaining the records properly and coding it as the right event, so it doesn't, the retention level is where it's required to be. That's the main things.
Okay.
It's quite extensive.
I'll move it.
Motion by Knizel. Is there a second?
Yeah.
Second by Kircher. Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Thank you.
Thank you. Finance Committee.
Today we're presenting the 2023 preliminary levy. The background is the Finance Committee worked diligently with all county departments to prepare the preliminary budget and the preliminary levy recommendation to the county board at the August 16, 2022 work session. The Finance Committee presented a proposal for the 2023 preliminary budget and the 2023 preliminary levy. Options are to approve the 2023 preliminary levy as recommended by the Finance Committee with the local levy at $17,260,754, which would be a 0.23 increase, or do not approve this. The recommendation is to approve the attached resolution to set the preliminary levy for 2023 at $18,854,417, less program aids of $1,593,663, therefore certifying the preliminary local levy at $17,260,754.
Okay, you've seen the board action and the recommendation to certify the preliminary local levy at $17,260,754. Looking for a motion.
So move.
Motion by Newman. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Becker. Discussion.
Just a thank you to the Finance Committee. I mean, this looks really,
Good work.
really good.
Thank you.
And department heads too.
Yeah, I was just
Yeah,
gonna
I
say,
mean,
on to the department heads and
everybody
everybody
that-
else that worked with it, because
Absolutely.
we have great cooperation from them, and they worked very hard to get their budgets to be very accurate, so. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Next item I have then is a truth and taxation date establishment. Background, Minnesota Statute 275.065 requires Todd County to hold a truth and taxation hearing to receive public input regarding the proposed 2023 preliminary levy before its final adoption in December of 2022. The recommendation is to set the truth and taxation hearing for a date that you can find in your calendar to begin at 6 p.m. in the Todd County Board of Commissioners boardroom. One recommendation we have, if looking at your calendars, would be Tuesday, December 13th. And the reason being is the new truth and taxation statement that has to go out, there's a supplemental budget information sheet that is mandated by the state now. And we are dealing with our outsourcers and all local counties to find out how they're gonna do this, because somebody at the state decided that in this presentation, we also need to present every budget line item for every district in our taxing district. So that means I would have to require all the school districts, all the townships, all the cities. Everybody has to give me every line item of their budget. And I'm supposed to get this on an 8.5 by 11 sheet and submit it as a supplemental insert. So we've been doing a lot of research on this, and we have come to the conclusion with a lot of input from legal counsel that we can get by with saying we can list ours, but the adjoining townships, cities, and school districts, we can just put the disclaimer that you could go to their county website or contact their office to find out their individual budget line items, because it's not our responsibility. But, so, in saying all that, getting it done by the end of November like we had done in the past is going to be impossible, and then that first week of December is your AMC. So that's why we were looking for the December 13th, if that works for you guys. Otherwise, you can give me a date that works in December for you.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
Denise, I have extension at 6 o'clock in Long Prairie on the 13th. So
Okay,
is
I
it something that we can maybe talk to Suzanne and move that date for the extension meeting?
We could, or you guys could pick a different date that we could, I mean, it's up to you. It's the board's decision. I didn't even think about extension that month.
Yeah.
Whatever
Can we,
your calendar works, because I need to get it scheduled today so we can
Mhm.
What's the 12th of December? What is that?
Monday, the 12th? That works. That works with your schedules
Monday, the 12th then?
at 6 p.m. in the county boardroom.
Mm-hmm.
6 p.m., is that what we said?
6 p.m.
Monday, the 12th of
December
December
12th.
at 6 p.m.?
Yes.
Okay. All right, we've seen the board action for the truth and taxation date established. That date would be established as Monday, December 12th, 6 p.m. in the County Commissioners Boardroom. Looking for a motion.
So move.
Motion by Becker, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Kneisel. Discussion?
Yes, Mr. Chair, I'm just trying to figure out how we can get the message out to the constituents that this is the budget meeting and not the property tax meeting. And it's been like that forever, but it's the budget meeting,
Yeah.
and that's probably what it should be called.
In our disclaimer, we will also be putting that we appreciate by appointment only as well, like we did during COVID time, also to help regulate the room size, because of course, the meeting in April was out at the expo, well, hockey rents expo, so we wouldn't be able to have it out there, so our space in here will be limited, so if they would kindly, we'll put that on our meeting date time,
Okay,
and then we'll put our phone number saying
all right,
appointments are encouraged, I think is how we listed it last year.
yeah, because they come out about the same time, don't they? It's confusing for the taxpayers, I know. So, if we can just come out and say this is the budget meeting and, you know, the 2023 budget meeting, that's what it is, and I know the state's got a another name for it, but. Okay, thanks,
All right.
that's all I got.
No problem. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Thank you. Administration.
Mr. Chair, I have a couple of board actions and a resolution this morning, and the first board action that I have is to approve appointment to fill vacancy in the Office of County Recorder. The background for this is a letter of resignation was received from County Recorder Linda Doust and accepted by the Board of Commissioners on August 2nd of 2022. Under Minnesota statute sections 382.02 and 375.08, when a vacancy occurs in the office of the county recorder, the board shall fill it by appointment. Linda Doust's last day of employment will be October 31st of 2022. A letter of interest has been provided by Chief Deputy Recorder Kimberly Basil to fill the vacancy of county recorder. The options are to appoint Chief Deputy Kimberly Basil to fill vacant county recorder position for balance of current term beginning November 1st of 2022, or do not appoint, and the recommendation is to appoint.
Okay, I've seen the board action to appoint the Chief Deputy County Recorder position. Looking for a motion.
So moved.
Motion by Kircher. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Becker. Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Thank you. With that appointment, the next item is a leave of absence for the Chief Deputy Recorder. And the background is Kimberly Basil has been appointed interim county recorder for the remainder of 2022. Kimberly Basil has requested a leave of absence from her current Chief Deputy Recorder position effective November 1st, 2022 until a county recorder is elected and seated in January of 2023. The options are to approve leave of absence for Kimberly Basil, Chief Deputy Recorder, to fill appointed interim county recorder position until the county recorder is elected and seated in January of 2023, or do not approve, and the recommendation is to approve.
Okay, you've seen the board action for the leave of absence for the Chief Deputy Recorder. Looking for a motion.
So moved. Number 1.
Motion by Newman for option number 1. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Kneisel. Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Thank you. And the final board action that I have is to establish a salary for appointed interim county recorder. Kimberly Basil has accepted the appointment of interim county recorder with an effective date of November 1st, 2022. The Todd County Board of Commissioners is required to set a salary for this interim appointment. Todd County Personnel Policy Section 6.02D provides a process for promotional pay. However, the personnel policy does not address positions that are not included in the pay grade step system, such as elected officials. Salaries of elected officials are governed by Minnesota statutes and are set by the county board. The options are to approve the attached resolution to set salary for appointed interim county recorder at, with a option for you to choose that, and it would be prorated for the duration of 2022 term, beginning November 1st of 2022. So I have provided you with some additional information regarding the county recorder's salary. If we look at the process we followed for county attorney, and Denise, I actually have this on your desktop if you wanted to go to that. But the board does have a form in front of them. It's in the board info folder. And it would be today's date. So if we look at when we recently did this with county attorney appointment, we looked at the minimum salary that was set for the recorder for the 2019 term, and that minimum salary that you set at that time was $60,000. The minimum salary that you have set for the recorder for the 2023 term is $65,000. If we look at current salary for Chief Deputy Recorder, that is at $60,694. And the rest of the information is there, comparisons to the county recorder currently. We did discuss this at Personnel Committee, and looking at the same process that we did for the county attorney, the recommendation would be to set that minimum salary at the $65,000. And this would be prorated for the remainder, the 2 months that would remain for the year.
So moved, Mr. Chair.
Okay, we have a motion by Kircher to establish the salary for the appointed interim county recorder.
I'll second it.
Seconded by Kenizel. Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Thank you.
Thank you. And I believe that brings us to standing reports. Auditor Treasurer.
Today in my report, I just want to clarify, I'm going to bring up, last board meeting, I brought a county fleet purchase before the board. And if you see where it says agenda item, it does say county fleet vehicle purchase. And then down below in your recommendation that you took action on was to approve the car fleet purchase from Nia Chevrolet for that Colorado. After the board meeting, it was brought to my, and you'll also see in the financial implications, it does state motor pool. So there is nothing wrong with this board action other than I had a typo. I referred to it in the background for just background information. I listed it as a solid or soil water conservation. It's still due to aging fleet vehicles, but it's truly a vehicle that's used by planning and zoning. And probably moving forward, I won't list a department because these are all purchased by the county for the county fleet, and they can be assigned to any division. I just wanted to make it a public record because I did notice the papers had listed quite a lot of discussion by Commissioner Becker, asking about the soil waters, rules and regulations and what we have to purchase for them. So this truly is not a soil and water conservation vehicle. It is a county fleet vehicle that'll be utilized predominantly by planning and zoning. And it was, those two offices down there are together, and it was my typo when typing this board action up. And so I just wanted to clarify that in my report. There's nothing that we have to rescind or change because as you can see, your board action is for a county car fleet purchase. Your actual recommendation was a county car fleet purchase, and it also came from the motor pool. So there's not a revision. I just wanted to clarify because of the publications that were made in the local papers about solid soil and water.
Thank you.
So I just wanted to clarify that in my report today.
Very good. Anything else? Anything else, Denise? No?
Oh, I'm sorry, no.
Nope, that's okay. Yep. And not only did the county attorney make the report list, but they're second on the report list. Look at that. Wow.
As you know, we start our new assistant, Chris Brigman, today. The commissioners had a chance to meet him during the public comment period. I'm looking forward personally to this being day one of spending less time in court and more time doing the business of the county. Department heads have found me, different departments have found me, and I feel really good about that, and I'm anxious to do more. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm glad to hear you're up to par now on your staffing and stuff,
Yes.
so. Commissioners' reports. Anyone have anything today?
Yeah, Mr. Chair, I had a constituent call me and ask how come I haven't been reporting on my committee. And I said, fine, I'll draft up August 1st through September 1st. So the 1st of August, I had a Todd County Public Health Committee meeting in Long Prairie. The 2nd, I had the Commissioner meeting in Long Prairie along with the work session. The 8th, I had a meeting with the new hospital administrator here in Long Prairie. The 9th, insurance meeting. The 10th, department head meeting. Financial meeting, August 11th, soil and water meeting, solid waste committee meeting in Long Prairie, solid waste commissioner meeting in Barville, Rainbow Rider meeting in Lowry. On the 12th, I had canvassing board, insurance committee meeting again in Long Prairie. On the 16th, Todd County Commissioner meeting in Long Prairie along with the work session, Sauk River Watershed meeting in Sauk Center, Gordon Township meeting in Osakis. On the 17th, I had a county employee picnic. Todd County Parks and Trails meeting was that night. The 18th, Sauk River One Watershed One Plan in Sauk Center. On the 22nd, counties providing technology in Morris, Minnesota. Then I come back to Long Prairie and had an insurance meeting here in Long Prairie. August 29th, I had a personnel committee meeting in Long Prairie. September 1st, Central Minnesota Council on Aging, which is still Zoom yet, but those meetings are normally in Sartell. And then I had calls from Birchdale, Candota, Gordon, Leslie from constituents, the Lake Association, people concerned about the Wabagon Trail. And then a township had a question on 911 addresses, and I think Dave got part of this. They are questioning if they should pay for 60 new addresses in one spot. So, and that's responsibility of the township. So they're asking them to pay for 60 new 911 addresses for a developer. So that's something we should probably bring to a work session.
Do we have a precedent on that?
Mr. Chair, if I can, Commissioner Kircher and Commissioner Newman, back in 2000, 1999, 2000, I can look up the specific time frame, but it was decided that the townships would be responsible for the 911 address signs, and that was when 911 addresses first came about and were implemented in Todd County. So townships have been historically responsible for those signs. And this specific spot, if I'm thinking the one correctly, I think this is a campsite that is getting 911 addresses.
That's a lot of addresses to
It
pay
is,
for.
and communication went out to the townships last year, and it's just been a little bit of a delay in getting these in place. And now there's change in township members, so it's reiterating that message again. But they were communicated with last year, and they understood the cost.
Okay.
So,
Just, Mr. Chair, if I could, just out of curiosity, how much do the signs cost? I mean, what's it going to cost a township?
I want to say the 60 signs, they're about $15 to $17 a piece.
Okay.
So, I mean, it was communicated that it was roughly $1,000 to get those signs in place.
Okay.
Mr. Chair.
Okay. Anyone else?
Yes, Mr. Chair, I too have had quite a bit of people discussion about us not reporting our meetings. So on the 8/17th, I had county picnic. On the 18th was Long Prairie Watershed. On the 22nd was insurance meeting. On the 23rd was Mississippi Watershed. On the 24th, we had a union negotiation meeting. On the 25th, we had FEMA meeting with the township and cities. On the 26th, I had a facility meeting. And on 8/30th, we had a union and a fairground meeting. Both were canceled. I also would like to ask if we could maybe put it on a work session or something. We had a letter from Wadena Township about property tax disparity. And it would be, to me, it would be a good subject for a work session.
Mr. Chair, if I can, Commissioner Becker, is this the one from Wadena County?
Yes, it is.
County.
Okay. Anyone else? All right. Coordinators report.
Yeah, just really quick, Mr. Chair, last week I had a community meeting in Eagle Bend regarding those property owners and businesses who have been affected by the storm from May 30th. And the report is that there are SBA loans available, but for some reason, we've had some pretty low participation. So we have, from that community meeting, we have decided to put out Facebook messages and press releases every week until September 23rd, which is the deadline for those SBA loan applications. And in order to apply for other funding, you must apply for the SBA loan. That's why it's important to share that message.
And Chris, this has to stem from the first storm.
The May 30th storm, which would be the second storm.
Yeah.
The May 30th.
Okay. Thank you. Anything else? Otherwise, we will recess until the 20th. All right, we will start the work session for Tuesday, September 6th, 2022.
Good morning.
Good morning.
So we wanted to bring this to a work session just for initial discussions, and then maybe after we're done here, we can talk about how we want to move forward with another committee or a council or however we want to name that in moving forward. So I will let Catherine kick this 18-year settlement off.
Jackie said I have to stay for 18 years, so.
Exactly. I won't be here that long, but she will.
Thank you. Next slide, please, Denise. So you're all familiar, you've seen through AMC and other organizations, the opioid settlement will be coming down here shortly, where the funds should be arriving here soon. So what this is all about is it's basically a big class action lawsuit against the pharmaceutical distributors and manufacturers, right? So as we all know, opioids were a big business in the 90s and 2000s and got overprescribed and then caused a lot of misuse and abuse, unfortunately, and a lot of overdose deaths as well that have occurred. So starting with the Attorney General's office, it looks like about $303 million will be coming to our state over an 18-year span. I expect that amount might even go up because they continue to add more and more companies to this lawsuit. So we're continuing to hear more and more about that. So it's not done yet. 75% of those funds will be going to local communities. So every county in the state, including every city over 30,000, was eligible to apply for these funds. Some did, some didn't. So those dollars will be then distributed based on size of county and cities. So 25 will be kept by the state. Public Health was named chief strategist for this grant settlement to basically just ensure these funds are used appropriately. And we'll talk more about that around, prevention and treatment. And again, it's not a ton of dollars. Right now, our allocation is $928,215 over 18 years, which if you divide it by 18, it's about $50,000. But we do anticipate it to be front loaded these first couple of years, which will be nice. So that we'll be able to really start to think about, okay, how can we best use these dollars? There's currently people struggling with opioid addiction and misuse. And then there's also, a whole generation of kids that we want to make sure don't abuse these drugs or any type of drug at that matter. All right, next slide. Thank you. So this was developed by Johns Hopkins School of Public Health. Just some guiding principles for spending these dollars kind of across the nation. And it's common sense, but I think it's important to remember that we want to spend the money to save lives, right? We want to make sure these dollars, while they're a small amount, we want to use them well, right? And that's where Jackie was talking about putting together an advisory council that will help us ensure that we're not duplicating existing efforts. We're maybe, ramping up other things that need to be funded more, that type of thing. So we also want to use evidence to guide our spending. Next slide, I'll show you some of those evidence-based practices. We want to invest in youth prevention. So we want to make sure, again, there's a generation that's grown up with these opioids and had them available. We want to make sure the next generation, it's not as readily available. And then also focusing on racial equity, social determinants. Part of the research and data collection we've been working on already is identifying who is most vulnerable for overusing opioids in our community in Todd County so that we can make sure that we target these dollars too. I think we all know there's a population that's most likely to abuse these and, can have mental health factors, can have lots of other comorbidities, other issues occurring in their lives that we could look at a way to sort of address that from a, high level approach. And then develop a fair and transparent process for deciding where to spend the funding. So again, that's where we'd be looking at that advisory group to make sure that we're using the dollars as we say we will and ensuring that they're used to impact our community the best. All right, next slide. So here's just a sample of some of those core abatement strategies that have shown to be effective. So broadening access to naloxone. As we know, Sheriff's Office already has that available. That's the drug that can stop an overdose death, right? So that's important. Increasing the use of medications to treat opioid use, improving treatment in jails, more prevention, data collection and research, like I said, so we can best target these strategies. And then also there's a pretty significant concern around pregnancy. women who are abusing opioids can then have pretty significant harms to their child. So it's called neonatal opioid withdrawal syndrome, and similar to coming off of meth and other things, those babies can be born early, they can be born low birth weight and have lots of developmental delays, things like that. So we'd want to be looking at targeting those populations as well to make sure that we're not seeing those harms. All right, next slide, thank you. So this data just came out. So this is 2011 to 2021. And as you'll see, this is the number of drug overdose deaths, right? And you'll see from 2018 to 2021 a sharp increase. We're not entirely sure why that is. Unfortunately, I don't think the pandemic helped. I think there weren't a lot of opportunities for treatment at that time. A lot of people stayed home instead of seeking the help they needed. And while prescribing is down for opioids right now, it's really been locked down for the last few years. You know, doctors can't prescribe the amount they used to. Pharmacies really have a lot of protection with a monitoring system that they use now, so people can't shop around for these drugs. But while prescribing is down, we're seeing overdose up. So I do think there's concerns with that. And if you look at the next slide, one of the main reasons for that is fentanyl. Sorry, next slide, thanks Denise. So of all the opioid involved deaths, of that 1,200 total, we see 924 are involving opioids, and of that 924, we get 834 are synthetic opioids, which is that fentanyl that you hear a lot about. So fentanyl is 10 times stronger than any prescription opioid. So that's what you're seeing. Where we saw meth and cocaine and heroin, those are all on the, well, they're not as steadily increasing, but what we're seeing again is the concern with illicit drugs, fentanyl, heroin, that type of thing that are starting to become more and more popular as it becomes more challenging to get these prescription opioids. So I'll stop there. I just wanted to show you a little bit about what's going on and why it's still a significant concern. And hopefully when we do get these dollars and start to meet, we can really make sure that we're using these funds wisely and make sure they have an impact on Todd County.
Question. I don't think I heard you mention anything about enforcement. Is there anything dedicated to enforcement for this kind of stuff to help the law enforcement in investigating and looking into sources? And it seems to me they want to do everything as post, not be proactive but reactive. So what are we doing to try and stop the problem rather than treating the problem? I'm putting that in the right term. Sorry, but I see nothing.
No, I agree. So you're talking about illegal drugs just being available. Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I think that's something Sheriff's Office will definitely be involved in this work. And if that's something that, you know, is important that we fund, I am sure these dollars actually are it's pretty broad what you can use the funding for. Again, it's not huge amounts of dollars. So, but I do think it's something that, again, there's the task force that they have already, the drug task force, that we'd want to be speaking with them and seeing, you know, what we could do with these dollars to support that.
And if I may, can we go back to the splitting of the money? Is this, did you say the state will get 25%? So
Yep.
Steve, my question to you is, how much is the state going to contribute to enforcement? They, I think as far as I know right now, is $0. It's all federal money. So how much is the Sheriff's Association pursuing anything with the state as far as enforcement funding?
Each county or region has a task force dedicated.
Right,
That's,
but we get no money from the state. It's all federal funding from what I understand. It was when I was there. I don't know if it's changed.
it's federal.
Okay. So yes, that's part of my statement. Thank you for listening to me. I see nothing there.
Yes, yes.
If I could, I think I brought this to a work session some time ago about the central EMS region. And we have also been looking at some of this opioid dollars to help fund the regional part of it. I've got a meeting the end of September again. And so I want to make sure that that's included in part of this discussion also.
What we understand is we haven't heard how they're gonna front load it or how much for the first 3 to 5 years. So we're gonna see the majority of the dollar come within that first 3 to 5 years, and then very small amounts those preceding years. As you brought that up, and I appreciate that months ago, I have been asking my fellow Central Minnesota EMS public health and human service. Many, I would say 99% of them had, nobody's asked for money yet.
No, I think they brought it to work sessions and whatever.
Most county directors hadn't heard about it at all, that they were
You're
gonna be
kidding.
requesting, so, including Morrison at that time. So, I think the challenge is gonna be are all counties gonna offer, and I think that is what might be brought up in your next meeting, is how many are gonna commit dollars, because we are fortunate here in Todd County, being in the central region with Sourcewell helping us to fund our central Minnesota EMS. But there are many of those counties that are outside of that.
Sourcewell Rim, yes, there are.
So we want to make sure, I think it's going to be, hopefully we'll hear more about it. There was even talk, maybe the directors going to that meeting when the discussion comes up to see what counties are willing to commit. I think, Barb, you might have said 5%.
Yeah, and they threw out different numbers. Yes, they have. Yeah.
Or 15%, I think it might have been. And
I don't know.
I think equated to like $7,000 here.
Okay.
So,
Chris, have you heard any of this?
I've heard just some brief discussion about it, and that there may not be enough support for it, so I think you'll
Okay.
find out more at your next meeting.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, definitely, we want to be able to support that if that's the interest of the group,
Okay.
to be able to do that. So, I've been asking the directors of those counties to be sure that they're aware, but also that there's additional discussions based on, how the group wants to decide. So.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
you.
I appreciate your early warning on that, or detection about the need.
Mr. Chair, if I could just ask, or maybe get some clarification, with this $928,000, I believe the counties are asked to reserve that 7% for any type of legal fees that might come. So I want to just make sure we reserve that if necessary, but I believe it was 7% of that total the counties would individually need to reserve, just in case some
Okay.
legal
Yep.
issues. And then I also wanted to just share that last week I did receive an email from AMC. They've been leading this charge, making sure that the funds come to the counties. They've done an excellent job of communicating, and we should be seeing an email this week with signing up for the portal to start receiving the funds.
Great.
So who actually receives, does it go into your budget, or does it go into the county's budget?
It'll be coming into the county budget,
Okay,
and then it has to be designated to a special fund,
okay.
much like we do the other federal dollars that come in.
And we want to work very closely with Denise, your office, to be sure that all our i's are dotted and t's are crossed, so we're meeting all the expectations of the dollars. But, and when you think of 18, the dollar amount looks large, but when you spread that out over 18 years, it's gonna go quickly.
Yep.
So,
Mr. Chair?
Yep.
I do have to agree with Commissioner Kircher as far as enforcement on this. But if you look at your graphs that you showed us, it goes right back to the open borders down south. You look at where she started skyrocketing, and when these people start coming across, it's just going nuts. And you watch TV every day, you'll see how much fentanyl and opioids that they are confiscating. That's just probably a small portion of it that they're getting, and the other shit's getting up here. So this is gonna be a continued problem for the next probably 10 years, unless they do something with the damn border.
as you know, just from past history, one substance replaces another. And that's what we're hearing also, is they've been working on the prescription abuse in the state of Minnesota for quite some time. And they're seeing prescriptions going down with their trend, but death going up. So it is contributing to illegal.
It's access, and people, if they want it, they're gonna find it, and it's out there.
And one never knows what they get in however they use their drug of choice. It could contain very small amounts of fentanyl or very large amounts, which is what's causing the overdosing. So we'll come back, but I think at this point we're ready to, we're going to need to work with many partners in our communities, and we would like to, you know, have interest in 2 commissioners sitting in on this committee as we move forward. The advisory council, I think, is what we're going to call it. But we're going to be reaching out to our healthcare partners, hospitals, clinics, pharmacies.
Yep, law enforcement and other community partners to make sure, because again, public health hasn't worked in this area, but they have. And so, you know, figuring out what's already being done and how we can support that, I think is important before we charge forward with anything new, so.
The money hasn't come yet, but it was just some early discussions in moving forward to know that we would like to start planning, I guess.
Yep, so we're planning to put together this advisory council in the next few weeks, ensure that we have some, I know the hospitals are well aware of this as well, and making sure that we get them on board will be important, and then we'll go from there.
Great.
So,
Thank you for the update.
yeah, would you like us to bring forth at the next meeting at BAF to appoint 2 commissioners? If that's what you choose to do, to start the process.
You could certainly do that to start to establish your group.
Okay, we'll do that. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Drug and alcohol testing.
Speaking of drugs. So the Policies Committee has been working very hard on the drug and alcohol testing, and this one is for our commercial drivers, so covered under the DOT. We used the League of Minnesota's template to start this process, and Policies Committee has been working on it for quite some time now. So we're bringing it forward to see if you have any questions on it before we bring it to board.
Mr. Chair, if I may just add, this is a policy that is a template from the League of Minnesota Cities. So a lot of the legwork has been done already and looked at through different legal aspects. That has all been done. Our time really has been spent trying to understand all of the different pieces to this policy. And as we went through this and asked about different areas of the policy, we found out that this is following the DOT, and there's very little that we can change regarding this policy. So very little within this template that we can or should change. And it does seem like a very long policy, and it is a very long policy, but it follows all of the rules that are in place.
And Mr. Chair, I think a lot of this too is education with our staff as far as, you know, with the gummies coming out, now with it being kind of legal, you know, that they're aware that that could stay in your system for 48 hours. So, you know, we gotta educate them.
It's not only the gummies, Randy, it's the joint ointments and everything else that are containing cannabis now.
Yep.
And people are just using them innocently to replace, you know, try and get rid of pain, but if a random test is done on you, you may fail. So
Yep.
it's just something that the general public and DOT people have to be, especially our
Education.
drivers, you know. And I don't know, do we have signage up in departments warning people about use of those kind of things? I mean, I don't know if it's in a policy, I didn't read this whole thing because it's pretty lengthy, but do we have signage up for employees to say caution, you know? If you're subject to random testing, this could show up?
We do not have signage up. We did send an email.
I've seen that, yes.
Yeah. But we don't have signage up. I've actually added it to our new employee orientation, just as a point of interest. Please remember.
But you know, innocently, you can use that stuff, and all of a sudden, I'm up for a random test, and whoops, I failed.
Yep.
And
Yep.
I guess I didn't think about that one, the time I was using either chewing a gummy or using the joint relief pain or, you know, cream or something, so, it's in a lot of things right now, so.
Mr. Chair, if I could just add, I mean, it would, the signage, I mean, it's a good suggestion, but we would be hanging signs about everything, warning people about every
I
single
understand
thing.
that, but especially where we have truck drivers, though, I think those guys gotta be aware, hey, you start using that stuff, all of a sudden, I get tested and I fail, so guess what? You're either put on leave or you don't have a job, so.
Right. So in solid waste and public works,
Well,
a
I'm
good
just saying where we have
suggested.
our main truck drivers and stuff, I think those guys and gals should be aware of
Yep.
the issues, so.
We discussed it
Yeah.
internally, just not at a specific, staff meeting, but throughout general conversation, so they're well aware of
Okay, well,
potential.
just a suggestion.
All right.
Okay,
No other questions at this time, it doesn't look like.
we will bring it to the next board meeting.
Sounds good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I was gonna leave, but do you wanna talk insurance?
Okay, so the next topic that we have for this work session, the final topic, is the RFP results and the 2023 renewal for life and supplemental insurances. Denise, I have this one in the board folder as well, if you wanted to bring that up. So, why are we reviewing this information? The reason why we are reviewing the life insurance for the county is because every 60 months by Minnesota statute, we are required to go out for RFPs for our group insurance coverage. And our life insurance did meet that 60-month criteria for RFP. We also are looking at this because we've had some employees share some concerns with claims processing and with the outcome of their claims. And we've also, with an administration, had some billing issues with our current vendor, the Hartford. So through that process of doing an RFP, we did have our current carrier, the Hartford, come back with no change to life, short-term disability, or long-term disability. So the rate stayed the same, and they're guaranteed for the next 2 years. So that's a good quote for us. But we did also see that there were a couple of other vendors who produced a lower rate. And one of those contenders that came with a recommendation is Lincoln Financial. So for life insurance, there was a very slight decrease to the rates from our current vendor, the Hartford, with the same benefits provided for life. Short-term disability, there was actually a 10% reduction in costs with Lincoln Financial. And for long-term disability, there was a 7% reduction in costs. And those all, looking at the comparison of the actual benefits provided, it was a very similar comparison, apples to apples, with that. And then when we looked at our other coverages for hospital, accident, and critical illness, when you apply the wellness benefit that is allowed through Cigna, which would be the contender against Hartford, in some instances, the costs were actually lower with Cigna versus the Hartford. But then in the other areas like accident or critical illness, the cost was slightly higher in some of the categories of those specific benefits. We did share all of this information with the insurance committee and asked them to seek some feedback and share the information with their groups. And we will be meeting with the insurance committee again to review this information in entirety and bring that back as a recommendation to the board at the next board meeting. And I'm going to ask Sarah if she would like to just share anything specific to any of the billing issues or the claims issues that we've had.
I think you've covered it. We've actually had both billing issues, which ends up being just an administration. I can handle if we have billing issues and it's a frustration to our payroll and benefits specialist. That's difficult, but it's just one person, where when we have claims issues, it's affecting all of our employees who have signed up for this benefit. And that's been the real struggle, is when somebody gets denied a claim and we don't know about it until the employee calls us and says, hey, we've been denied. And it's frustrating to understand how were they denied when you hear about the claim and go, well, that sounds like a legitimate claim, and we've had to get our broker involved. And so Hartford has been challenging to work with in that aspect, and that's why we're proposing a new benefit provider for these benefits. It's for the employees' benefit. Administration, we can handle the billing issues. It has been frustrating, but for the benefit of the employees, we recommend a new provider.
So we will continue the process of meeting with Insurance Committee, and then we will come back to the September 20th board meeting with a recommendation from that Insurance Committee.
Great. Questions, commissioners? All right, if not, then I believe that was our last item on our work session, and we will conclude the